Today, we're checking out some clips from the latest Moonshots podcast, which will be of particular interest to SpaceX investors.
Well, it was not too long ago when we were releasing models like, every 6 months, every 3 years. Now we've got 4 models in 7 days. It's kind of insane, isn't it?
So turns out the singularity isn't just vibes.
Well, it's going to be a continuous model release. I mean, this idea of a single model being released and calling it a release, I don't know. But July 2nd, Fable 5 is re-released. July 8th, Elon announces Grok 4.5. July 9th, OpenAI releases GPT 5.6 family, Sol, Terra, Luna, and Ultra Mode. I love that. That runs 4 agents in parallel. July 9th, Meta shows signs of life with the release of Muse Spark. So, Alex, I'll show a couple of charts here, but without going into an hour long on the benchmarks, help us understand what's going on with these 4 releases. I really want to get one of the things I'd love, Dave and Salim and Alex, is to help people understand how these differentiate and how does it impact them individually when they hear all these releases being made.
For me, the zoom out is this is a convergence episode, right? We're seeing intelligence get cheaper, interfaces are becoming more human with the hand thing, and AI is acquiring tools and hands. It's all happening in 1 week.
Peter, can we put up the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, which I think is the So for those listening, this is a scatter plot produced by Artificial Analysis. It's tracking their estimate. It's a composite index, sort of a meta benchmark of cost per task for each model versus the score, the actual performance on each task.
Just to take a brief pause here, as they mentioned, the rate of new AI model releases is increasing, accelerating very rapidly. The space is heating up. It's going to be constant tit for tat. Extreme competition, which will be to the benefit of all users of these models. The race is on, the opportunity is enormous, and you better believe everyone at each of these companies is working their dicks off to improve their models, to drive up performance and reduce costs. The big standout here, Grok 4.5, which stunned the industry. I covered this recently on the channel. The bottom line here, we have intelligence on the left. The higher up here, the more intelligent. We have cost along the bottom. The further to the left, the cheaper it is. The best possible place for a model to be would be right here. Maximum intelligence for the lowest possible cost. Obviously, we are not quite there yet, but this green box is essentially the sweet spot where you have good intelligence, in some cases very, very high intelligence. Keeping in mind, by the way, the absolute best on this entire chart is about the 60 mark. So any model that can get close to this, but be on the left half here, somewhere in the green, e.g. Grok 4.5, Muse Spark 1.1, GPT 5.6 Luna. This is where the big opportunity is, as I've described it previously. You're getting near Einstein level intelligence for a McDonald's salary. Of all the meaningfully affordable models, Grok 4.5 is crushing on intelligence. This was a big moment. There'll be plenty more models around the corner, but this was a huge flex from the team at SpaceX AI. Grok 4.5 is much faster, much more efficient in terms of token usage, and effectively much cheaper. Quick little side note, I used to regularly go over my usage limit on Grok, despite having the highest possible consumer plan, paying $300 a month. I'd get put in a timeout for overdoing it and need to wait 30, 40, 50 minutes to be able to continue using Grok. Since Grok 4.5 dropped, I've been using it significantly more often, especially Grok Build, and have yet to exceed my usage limit once. The bottom line, expect AI models to continue at a very rapid rate to get faster, smarter, and cheaper to use. Huge win for all consumers. It's going to be very difficult to have a high level of confidence about who is going to be the leader in this space at any particular point in time. As I'm recording this, the best value is Grok 4.5. Tomorrow, that could change. One thing that's for certain, however, is the demand for the underlying AI compute to train and do inference looks likely to be near infinite for decades to come. As I said recently in a podcast with Gally on Hyperchange, he who controls the compute controls the universe. This illustrates the genius of SpaceX AI's business, where they're essentially building as much compute as they reasonably can, as fast as they reasonably can, using as much as they need for their own purposes internally, for their own models, for their own inference, for their own training, then subsidizing their continued aggressive build out of more AI compute by leasing surplus capacity to other AI companies for their training and their compute. If you don't own your own compute and your model sucks, you're kind of fucked. If you do own your own compute and your model sucks, in this case, imagine that SpaceX AI's Grok becomes the absolute worst in the industry, no problem. They're still making billions of dollars per month currently, and no doubt more deals to come, by leasing access to a portion of their existing AI compute. And the obvious next point to make is that this is Earth-based compute. SpaceX has disclosed their intent to build out the StarMind constellation, up to 1 million data centers in space. We'll talk more about that in the moment, but the same model that we're seeing today, AI compute maxing, using some for your own needs, for your own models, and then leasing out the surplus, that same model on Earth will be replicated with StarMind. And the implications for the SpaceX AI business in terms of revenue growth and profits are literally out of this world. And yes, I mean that literally. I have actually modeled this out over the next 20 years. Wait, what's that? Perfect segue? Don't mind if I do. Just a quick heads up, I've almost finished my brand new 20-year Tesla valuation model and 20-year SpaceX valuation model. They'll be launching on Patreon soon. When they do, prices for new memberships at every level will increase significantly. You can join today to lock in current prices for as long as you stay a member. Existing supporters who want higher tier access should upgrade now as well. Otherwise, you can pay more later. Up to you. For full details and to sign up, head to patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem or click the link below. Moving on to SpaceX more broadly.
You know, there's been this fascinating debate going on in the financial news about is SpaceX really worth $2 trillion? Some people coming out and saying, no, it's going to be $10 trillion very soon. And others saying, oh my God, it's so overinflated. And it's really hard for people to understand the scope of Elon's vision of what he is planning to do. The guy is thinking 100 moves ahead and 100 or 1,000x bigger than anybody else. Who wants to jump in on this one?
I do.
William, go ahead.
Yeah, this is classic EXO thinking, right? Which is, can you drop the marginal cost of supply? And he's using one breakthrough, which is reusable rocket launches, which is his niche, to collapse the marginal cost in communication, in satellites, in connectivity, in compute, manufacturing, even once you get it up there. So all of these become software-like businesses when you can reduce the cost of doing it in space, and he's leveraging that fully.
This is true and has extremely significant implications. Reusability is collapsing the cost of launch. In doing so, the cost of many products and services can also collapse further. He mentioned the collapse of the cost of communications. Shout out to Starlink, which is currently the only global internet and now starting to scale cell service. There is no alternative to Starlink. And without the launch business, Starlink wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't be cost effective. And it's still early days for Starlink. The V3 satellites on Starship are going to dramatically increase bandwidth per launch, cause a step change in the amount of Starlink subscriber growth. And I mean a massive step change. Just to be clear, roughly 22, 23 times more bandwidth per launch for Starlink on Starship with the V3 Starlink satellites compared to today's Falcon 9 launches. The bottom line here is that once Starship is doing a Starlink launch as often as today a Falcon 9 Starlink launch occurs, Starlink user growth can be 20 times or more its current rate of a couple of million customers per quarter. Starlink is already an extremely cost-competitive service. As it continues to scale, the cost will come down further, making it even more compelling for consumers to sign up. And it's not just home broadband. There's also commercial broadband and cell service. Let me just give you the bottom line. Fast forward however many years it takes until Starships are launching regularly, rapidly, and reliably, and the portion of Starship launches dedicated to Starlink, even if it's only a third or quarter of all Starship launches, is going to enable this service to scale to potentially hundreds of millions of Starlink subscribers because the cost for home broadband and cell service has collapsed. It's going to be extremely difficult for companies offering home internet services and cell services to compete with the ultimate cost structure of Starlink. The next obvious cost collapse is going to be AI compute, also known as StarMind. We already have specs for the first generation StarMind satellites, by the way. These things will also be launched on Starship. They're absolutely enormous. A deployed height of 20 meters. Essentially, we've got the radiator to dissipate heat and a wingspan of 70 meters. The three limiting factors for making this happen to dramatically lower the cost of AI compute, to collapse the cost of AI compute, mass to orbit, power generation, and AI chips. As we know, Starship will solve mass to orbit. I quote, Starship's fully reusable architecture and unmatched payload capacity are critical for deploying large, heavy AI satellites into orbit. No Starship, no ability to deploy AI satellites. The second constraint, it's always sunny in space. In sun-synchronous orbit, the AI-1 satellites capture continuous solar power with no weather or atmospheric loss, avoiding Earth's grid, land, and cooling constraints. And the third factor, AI chips. Terafab has entered the chat. SpaceX plans to produce advanced AI chips at scale in its new fab facility, a joint project with Tesla, using a modular architecture that enables seamless integration and continuous upgrades of next-generation processors. So let's recap. The launch business, reusability, currently only solved by SpaceX. Blue Origin working on it. We've recently seen some progress from China on the same problem, but there's only one company rapidly and reliably reusing rockets today. This has collapsed the costs of getting mass to orbit, which has now enabled a global communications network, Starlink, which is collapsing in real time and quite rapidly the cost of both internet and cell service, and still early. It's going to keep coming down in cost. And once Starship is flying regularly, we will see another massive further collapse in the cost of mass to orbit, further collapsing the cost of both Starlink global communications and AI compute in space. All you need to do is join the dots. And just to be clear, this is no longer hypothetical. Oh, well, I mean, maybe they could drive the cost of launch down, and maybe they could have reusable rockets, and maybe if they did that eventually, they could launch a few thousand or even 10,000 plus satellites into orbit, have them communicating in a global network. Because they've already fucking done it with Starlink. Roughly 10,000 satellites launched today, regular additional launches. Over 10 million customers. They've now launched a cell service. The only current block is further progress with Starship, which is going extremely well. Once Starships are flying regularly, it's G fucking G. This just scales, period. It happens, period. It's then going to boil down to how quickly can each Starship fly again, how rapidly reusable, and the whole point of the vehicle design is to be rapidly, reliably reusable. 2, how many Starships can you manufacture? In other words, how big is your Starship fleet? And the third factor is how quickly can you manufacture the AI-1 satellites? Those are the only limiting factors. Reusability has already been solved with Falcon 9. That was the 0 to 1 moment. To solve reusability on a new design, Starship, I don't think is going to be quite the same monumental challenge. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to be easy. But we've already seen, we can watch the test flight progress of Starship. The gentle splashdowns in the ocean. We've seen the landing on the tower again. I mean, hello, this stuff is happening. It's working. The bottom line, once Starship is flying rapidly and regularly, the cost of mass to orbit further collapses, and new tech like the V3 Starlink satellites with much more bandwidth per launch, plus the AI-1 AI satellites, which are too large to fit in a Falcon 9 payload today, can start being deployed rapidly. I mean, hello. And it should go without saying, but I am going to say it anyway. If you don't have Starship, you can't replicate Starlink and you can't replicate StarMind, both of which will have a significant cost advantage over their Earth-based equivalents. And don't forget, anyone who wanted to join Patreon and lock in the current prices before they increase when the new model drops, you know what to do. Thanks for watching. If you appreciate the content and want to support the channel, check out the links below where you can get early access to daily videos, unlock hundreds of exclusive pieces of content, and plenty more. AG1 has been part of my daily health protocol for almost half a decade. It's packed full of vitamins and minerals and helps me fill in nutritional gaps while supporting energy, digestion, and immune function. It also has prebiotics and probiotics to promote gut health. I take my health very seriously, and so should you. Try AG1 today by visiting drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment and enjoy a free welcome kit with vitamin D3 plus K2 and AG1 travel packs. That's drinkag1.com/SMR.